folks, welcome to the channel. I'm Don. I'm taking a quick look today at William Lane Craig's on the absurdity of the origin of life research. I'm pretty sure that's what this one is about. I generally don't pre-watch videos. I like to react and just see what thoughts come to mind, because the same thing is happening to you in your world. When you hear something driving on the road, on the radio, or whatever you're doing, you get thoughts immediately on stuff, and that sort of governs partly how we proceed thereafter. So let's see what this one is about.
I saw the most remarkable statement by Albert Eschenmoser about the origin of life, that it is not the goal of origin of life research to explain how life originated on Earth, nor even how life could have originated on Earth. And therefore, the failure to do that is not a failure of the project. Rather, he says the purpose of origin of life research is just to show that living things can be assembled out of inanimate organic matter. And when I read that, I thought, well, that's absurd. We know just from our own existence that that can be done.
Well, okay, that's one of the things about Schwartz, is that you don't get more context on it, but he's speaking of abiogenesis, and to him, when you're a staunch advocate of evolution, going back to the primordial soup, and that one of the challenges of evolutionary theory is, where did that first cell come from? Because if there was no living matter, and then there's just a collection of molecules and atoms in some kind of primordial soup, very rich in amino acids and proteins and lipids and other things that are required to make a cell, like a cell membrane. You have to have a container for it, basically, for all the stuff that's in it. And then they have to spring to life. The cell has to come to life somehow. How could that happen? And the idea is that that's abiogenesis. The standard impression people get is like, oh, like a lightning bolt blasted in just the right spot, and lightning bolts generally destroy everything near it, but maybe something hundreds of feet away from the lightning bolt or a mile away, it was just the right condition to crackle it to life. Maybe it wasn't the heat, maybe it was the sound waves, whatever. I'm just spitballing here. But I don't know what their contention is, but this other gentleman had said that the origin of life research isn't to find the origins of life, isn't to find out how it started and all that, although the name itself suggests that that would be exactly what it's about. But the other gentleman that he's criticizing is saying that it's to prove that life could emanate from inanimate objects. And that is a big leap, but if you can show how it could be done, people will point to RNA. If RNA was present in the primordial soup, I don't know how that would be either. I mean, it could have been, but that is a very complex set of instructions for cells to replicate. But then if they can replicate, it's very simple. I mean, it's a very simple cell. The process to humans isn't, because there's so many elements of it that need to be in place in order for it to happen properly. You can't just have a bunch of stuff within a cell and think it's going to spring to life and replicate. There are many moving parts that have to be just so within this tiny cell, and that's a challenge. It's not unlike pharmaceutical companies that want to treat the brain, because there's the blood-brain barrier. The brain protects itself. When you get the flu, when you get some kind of sickness in the other part of your body, it almost never goes to your brain, because that blood-brain barrier keeps every small thing out. Because that blood-brain barrier keeps basically anything larger than a blood cell out. So the challenge for pharmaceutical companies is enormous. If they want to treat something uninvasively without surgery and all this stuff, whether it's antipsychotic drugs or whatever it may be, they need to produce a medicine that, first of all, that when ingested or put in liquid form intravenously, will have all the molecules are the size or smaller than a blood cell. So they're already up against it if they're going to treat the brain. It's got to be incredibly small. It's got to first pass the brain-blood barrier. Then when it gets in there, it's got to be able to do what it was intended to do. So those sizes limit what they can do. And a similar principle in ways applies to that first cell or the very simple cells. It is a very complex thing. It isn't just like you could have like a protein, so maybe some kind of acid, an amino acid within the cell wall, and then heat, and then, oh, there it goes. It's sprang to life. It needs instructions. It needs to be able to self-replicate. Otherwise, you wind up with, even if one does spring to life, if it can't replicate, then you wind up with the hopeful monster theory, which is that, well, what's it going to procreate with? What's it going to mate with? How's it going to reproduce itself to give evolution a chance of even happening? So, fascinating stuff. So, all right, guys, leave your comments. I like looking at things, whether it's atheistic thought, theistic thought, and just looking at problems with argumentation. Maybe that's what I should call the channel, but I'll leave it as is for now. Have a great day. See you on another video. Keep thinking philosophically.